Anthony Arfusos asks, are there any plans to include any bonus features in your Flashpoint Wonder Woman mini-series when it's released in trade paperback format, which it inevitably will be? I don't know the answer to that question, but I certainly hope so. The Flashpoint was a great DC event orchestrated by Jeff Johns, where it's sort of a little like the classic Ray Bradbury story, The Sound of Thunder, where by going back in the past you change one tiny thing and the world ends up being a different place. The Flash has done this, and he has to get used to the sort of Flashpoint world that's a very interestingly different place. And Andy and I got to write the Wonder Woman miniseries and the Lois Lane miniseries in that. We had enormous fun with both of them. It was great to write. Well, both great to write two classic, strong female characters, two real icons, female icons of comics. So it would be nice. We were so much involved, and there were storylines that we didn't get to do, and there were things that we played around with and we couldn't make fit. So it'd be really nice to see some of that stuff, some of the possibilities included there. The Ewan twins, who wins, Rocket, Raccoon, or the Emperor? It depends. It depends. If they're playing Tiddlywinks, then Rocket Raccoon. The Emperor's thumbs just too big. If it's a fight, then Rocket Raccoon, obviously. Agastrato Jamal asks, what kind of advice can you give to an aspiring comic book writer-artist? Practice, perseverance. I think these days for a comic book artist or writer, it is really a matter of going to conventions. I think the days of being able to submit material to publishers is not necessarily gone, but disappearing fast. You've got to get yourself in front of editors and in sort of portfolio reviews and stuff like that, and get yourself seen. I think actually becoming a comic book writer must be one of the most difficult things of all, because it's not necessarily ancillary, but an artist can go in and show his stuff, whereas a writer, it's much more difficult for an editor to get a grasp of a writer. But yeah, I think that's it. You've got to just sort of throw yourself at conventions and events like that, where you get a chance to meet publishers, both big publishers, Marvel, DC, or smaller independent publishers or whatever, and produce stuff. Just draw or write stuff independently if necessary. Put it out on the web. Do that kind of stuff. Dennis R. Wood asks, how long is Villains for Hire planned for? It looks great, by the way. Thank you very much. It does look great, actually. Renato, what a fantastic artist. Villains for Hire is a new series which we're launching off the back of the original Heroes for Hire for Marvel. Heroes for Hire is a concept whereby a controlling character, a handler, Misty Knight, selects and deploys various heroes for specific missions depending on their talents and skills. So it's a sort of non-team book. They're a team, but they're sort of selected individually. They don't really necessarily know they're part of a team. They're just doing things for her to help out. Some of them she has to pay, some of them she has to persuade, some of them she has to return a favour for. It's all, basically because she knows everybody. So Villains for Hire is obviously the flip of that, and we're having great fun with that. It's got some really great surprises in store. If you've not read Heroes for Hire, Villains for Hire makes perfect sense, and we explain as we go along, because we start with the point one issue. If you have read Heroes for Hire, there's some terrific plot, story, development, character stuff that I think we'll really enjoy. We have a 6-issue arc to start off with, big story. We'll see what happens after that. Art's fantastic on it, really good. James asks, will we ever find out what happened to Jack Flag from the Guardians of the Galaxy? Yes, I think that would be a very good idea. I can't exactly answer when, but that would be a very good idea. Darren Thurber asks, are you involved with Marvel's 2012 cosmic plans? And the answer to that is, whether I am or I'm not allowed to say. So. Patrick Cullen asks, would you consider asking Disraeli to draw a few episodes of Sinister Dexter? If not, why not? Well, absolutely. I think Disraeli is a brilliant artist. Matt's absolutely fantastic, and I'd love to write for him Sinister Dexter or anything else. It'd be fantastic. Sinister Dexter over the years has been going 15 years now. Has had many, it's been a strip like Dread that's had different artists on it. There are certain people that you associate particularly with it in terms of phases. Simon Davis, Andy Andy Clark and now Anthony Williams, obviously, who's essentially the regular artist. Anthony's doing a fantastic job, and I'd hate to sort of take work away from him to give it to Disraeli. But by the same token, it is a strip that's had different people on it at different times. So if Anthony needed a couple of weeks off, I'd love to see what Disraeli made of Download. Also, of course, Matt works on his own strips for 2000 AD, so I wouldn't want to poach him off the things he's doing. But he's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. One of my, and a very nice man too. One of the most distinctive artists around, I think. There's, unmistakable, his work. I imagine that Patrick therefore is a fan as well to ask the question. Joseph asks, have you any plans to recover the events that happened at the end of Forceworks? Gosh, that's a long time ago. I mean when the Human Ultron and a resurrected Wonder Man took away Century. We've been thinking about Century on and off for a while now because he's a potentially great cosmic character that we could reintroduce. I am going to be very interested to see what Brian Bendis does with I think it's the Avengers Annual that's coming out quite soon. It's got Wonder Man in it. I have a feeling that he is actually dealing with some of that continuity, which would be very cool to see. James Stacey asks, are you stripping Sinister Dexter back more like its roots? Sinister Dexter is at the moment, with its big storyline that's been going on, although it's composed of individual stories, it's a big overarching storyline that's been going on for quite a while now. And yes, in some respects I am trying to get them back to where they always were. There's lots to tell there. We've just been planning what happens into 2012 with the series, and there are there's some fairly major sort of pivotal episodes to happen, and then what I hope will be a very, very cool storyline that we're going to run with in the early 2012, which I'm really looking forward to doing. I don't want to spoil it, but it's quite funny, and just we'll make a change. It's could be classic Sinister Dexter stuff. It's one of those things. It's a bit like the sort of Murder 101 or the Gun Shark Vacation, all that kind of stuff, where I simply sort of just do something slightly different to frame the story, but it allows them to be classic Sinister Dexter, so that should be good. Aaron Taylor asks a couple of questions here. Number one, when it comes to writing comics, do you find it easier to write uber major characters like the Avengers, or easier writing lesser known characters? It's always great fun to write uber major characters, but in fact I wouldn't say it's easier writing lesser known characters, because you've got to either research them or you've got to do a lot of work trying to find a handle to write them with. I think sometimes it's very satisfying writing the lesser known characters because people's expectations are not the same at all. You know really that when you're writing the Avengers or Fantastic Four or Iron Man or Spider-Man, whoever it is, there are many things that you sort of can't do, the sort of stories that you can't do. There are things you can sort of threaten to do or pretend to do or maybe even get to do once in a while, but really the constraints are very, very, very tight, because these are things that have got, Spider-Man's always got to be Spider-Man, blah, blah, blah. When you're writing, for instance, Guardians of the Galaxy, one of the great things we had with that as an example, Heroes for Hire is another good example, is that people didn't know what we were going to do next, because we could do almost anything. Continuity would allow us to do almost anything, and so we often did. I think it's great effect, and people were often shocked or surprised because of the twists that you could put into a story like that. Who would win a fight, Hitmonkey or Rocket Raccoon? Well, again, it's got to be Rocket Raccoon. If he can beat the God Emperor of Mankind, he's certainly going to take Hitmonkey, even if it is in a monkey knife fight in the car park. It's probably worth pointing out that you can friend me on Facebook if you wanted to at Dan Abnett Primary Clone. That is actually my second page, because you will easily find a page called Dan Abnett. In fact, you'll find lots of pages on there, but there is clearly one that's Dan Abnett, that's me, and it's full. It's absolutely full. You can try friending me there, but you're probably not going to get, because a space. Every now and then a space does open up, and it tends to get filled sort of automatically, because there are people who ask to friend me who I can't message to tell me to go somewhere else. But anyway, the point is, if you want to friend me on Facebook, go to Dan Abnett Primary Clone, which is a duplicate. I didn't want to open a fan page because I think that's a very strange thing to do, and I like the fact that there is a direct point of contact. So opening a second page is nice. Everything I post on one page I post on the other. Come along, talk, join the fun. It'll be great fun. You can follow me on Twitter at Dan Abnett Club. That's all one word, Dan Abnett Club. Or for a more casual approach, you can follow me and Nick on Twitter at Vincent Abnett, all one word. And my blog is at danabnett.com. I'm sure many of you who've asked me questions already know. And in fact, if you're looking at this on my blog, you already knew it before anyway. Thank you for all the questions. I look forward to talking to you again.